Roberto, first of all, how are you squad-wise after last night?
Well, we came through the game last night with just the knock on Gareth Barry. This morning, obviously, he was showing a really long cut in his shin, and is which is nothing to worry about. About the weekend, maybe the only worry is the ankle, that he had a massive knock, and we need to give it probably another 24 hours. But apart from that, the whole squad that he was available for yesterday will be available for the game against Sunderland.
What signs did you see that Lukaku's getting the full match sharpness, full match fitness back?
I think we're seeing it every game. I don't think it was just last night. I thought against Aston Villa, after we had that international break, I think we've been able to work a little bit more individual, and we've been able to get some more specific work in a physical point of view. And I think now we're starting to see real signs of freshness and real signs of someone that is ready to kick on in the season. I would say that the hangover from a physical point of view from the World Cup is well over, and I think we're starting to see the signs of power and pace and penetration that Romelu has in his game, which is very pleasing.
Do you feel a hangover from the World Cup has affected the squad as a whole then?
Yes, yeah, but obviously that's not a negative. The hangover of a World Cup affects you in many ways. One, with the experience that you gain, you become more mature. I think you develop a stronger mentality. I think we are a stronger squad because of the World Cup and the amount of players that we had in the World Cup. But it is true that from a physical point of view, we had to measure really closely, give them, the players, enough break so mentally they could switch off from the World Cup and come back towards being fresh for a new season. But that sets you back a little bit physically in terms of the sharpness. But I do feel that now we're starting to see the players to get fully sharp, and all we want is that the second half of the season becomes a period that you look forward towards, and that you can get fitter and sharper, rather than being a period that you can't wait to finish because you fatigue and you haven't been able to have a break since the World Cup. And I do feel that we got that right.
Would you say then that the World Cup has impacted more on your current league position than having to play in Europe?
No. I think the league position, it goes down to two very specific games where we drop points where we should never drop points, and those things happen. I think we adapted really well with the fact of playing in Europe. We adapted really well with the fact of developing a mentality that we accept that we need to play 3 games in a space of 8 days, and I've been very pleased with that. And the most impressive aspect has been that we've been tested as a side, and we've been able to be very consistent with our performances. And I did feel last season that we needed this sort of challenge if we wanted to carry on progressing and growing, and that's going to help us to fulfill the potential that I feel this squad has. So very pleased with that.
Also, Ross Barkley returned to the England squad. Roy Hodgson described him as similar to Paul Gascoigne. How does that kind of comparison sit with you?
I think we spoke a lot about, obviously, Ross is a very unique footballer, and he's going to draw those sort of comparisons. The way he is as a footballer, he can bring memories of many different footballers. I think it's a phenomenal compliment to be able to see aspects of Ross play comparable to Gascoigne. I mentioned before, obviously, with Michael Ballack's attributes when he was a young player. There are many things that I see on him, but the reality is that the longer that you see Ross having a big role in our club, you're starting to see a quite unique footballer, and Ross Barkley is himself, and as I think is someone that is gonna mark an era in obviously in our football group, but he's gonna mark an era in English football.
Roy Hodgson also made the point that he's looking to utilise him in the same way that you do. How beneficial is that to you yourself as the Everton manager?
Well, we got a great relationship with obviously with England and Roy Hodgson, and I think it's important that we got that understanding of where the players are and what they need. Our players are just so proud of representing their country, but in the same way, we got a few young players that they need help, they need support, and they need the understanding that they require at this stage of their careers. You're looking at John Stones and Ross Barkley. I always said they got the potential to be the best in their positions, but still very young, and they need guidance and they need the support of the older players. Then we got the likes of Phil Jagielka and Leighton Baines, that they said probably those two at the moment they are enjoying one of the best periods in their careers, never mind of the season. Is a very, very different to handling players at different stages of their careers. But the relationship with England is very, very good, and I'm sure it'll be very positive for all parties.
When you're trying to balance things between Europe and the Premier League, how big a test are you facing this weekend? What kind of a test are you facing up at Sunderland?
Well, we give huge respect to Sunderland. I think we know exactly that Sunderland had a phenomenal ending of the season, and that doesn't happen by coincidence or by accident. So now we know we face them in a difficult period from us or from any opposition, because they had a very good win at Crystal Palace. They are in a good moment of form. They got certain players playing really, really well. I know that they had their problems defensively, but that seemed that didn't seem the case against Crystal Palace on Monday. So we go to the Stadium of Light with a lot of respect, but knowing that this is a really, really important game. You see it as a real final for us, because it's a block of games before the international break, and this game brings a lot of meaning on what it brings in dispute for both teams in the league now.
When you've spoken in the past about the performances this season, do you feel in some ways you're in a false position in the Premier League at the moment?
We are, but in the table you are where you deserve to be. I said many times that the 4 points that we dropped in the first two opening games, probably they were going to mark our first third of the competition. You're looking at 4 points now. We change the position in the table. That doesn't mean anything. I think we played a lot better this season than we did last campaign at the similar stage in the league. It's quite evident that now we are a more complete side. I think our attacking play has been very, very good from day one. I think we can score goals. We're looking really sharp in that respect. Then early on, defensively, some of the aspects of our play cost us a few points, and that's what it shows in the table. But now we conceded 1 goal in 5 games. I think we're looking really solid as a side. I think the energy levels are strong, and we got 3 games in 8 days. The squad is going to be needed, and we're going to need players that they're going to be fresh from not being used yesterday, and that's going to be important throughout the season. So it will be important on Sunday.
Just check on Antolin as well. Has he had the operation? And
no.
Has any thought been given to bringing in a centre half for extra cover once the transfer window opens?
No. We're happy with the numbers that we got in the squad. As I said before, Silvan Distan came in and he looked refreshed and he looks ready for the challenge ahead. I'm really, really happy with his performances. Obviously, young Tyus Browning is ready, and even Brendan Galloway. There are 2 players that we got our centre-half positions well covered. In Antolin's case, obviously we decided not to go through surgery. I think the specialist feels that is the best way to approach the injury, which is great news, which reduces the period that Antolin is going to be out. And we'll find out over the next few days how he responds. But probably now we're talking a period of between 3, 4, 5 weeks maximum, which is fantastic news on what we feared early.
And finally, from me, Jamie Carragher suggested that maybe Leon Osman should have been given a 2-year deal. What thoughts been given to Leon continuing beyond the year extension? That
well, first and foremost, we're looking at the present, and you don't get many footballers like Leon celebrating the testimonial. You don't get that in the modern game. You're looking at him, the way that he's enjoying his football, the way that he's efficient and effective in games, and the way he took his goal yesterday. I think that's him. If you want to have a snapshot of what he brings in a game, he's got great composure, arrives into the box, and real style and quality to score the goal. The extra year is a reward that he deserves. It's not waiting until the end of the season. We always at the club now, we've got a policy that any player over 30 is going to be the club is moving forward, and we need to all prove our fitness and that we are up to speed year by year. Signing a reward of a year, that doesn't mean that you're going to retire at the end of that contract. I hope that Leon Osman is fully fit for many years to come, and he can write many other pages of history with Everton. It's very close of the 400 appearances. As you can imagine, Leon Osman is a special figure for us.
Just needs to win something.
Well, we all have to win something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roberto, can you say, is there anything wrong with Seamus Coleman after he was left out of the squad last night?
Yes, well, he had a little cut in his Achilles tendon against Swansea, and obviously he needed some stitches. So we assessing that as we talk. He couldn't make it yesterday, but I wouldn't consider it as a real issue, a real problem. I think it's more taking the doctor's view before the game and make a decision based on that.
And Kevin Moranis won't be yet in
No.
contention?
No. Kevin, we're looking forward to the next 2 weeks. Obviously, the international break is going to be a great period for Kevin. Obviously, he's working really well. He's stepped up his work, and probably it's going to be a case of maybe 2 to 3 weeks. But it's, as I said before, it's a soft tissue injury, and a sprinter is difficult to put a time scale. But is looking really good to start playing before obviously the turn of the year.